I'm here to talk to you today about the challenge exercise in your archiving exercises assignment. And as stated in the challenge description, that the particular problem might be beyond the scope of your learning thus far, I've provided it for those of you that like to reach further and sort of stretch your capabilities. That said, some of you may not quite be there yet, but you are still interested in how this problem might be solved. So that is my goal today, is to give you a little bit of a framework for how I might go about, uh, just working through my way to solve this problem and guiding you on that same journey. So we are asked to create a tar archive and name it all underbar editors.tar. That includes the command files for all of the editor type programs on our local system. So we're using Linux Mint, and that is what I'll bring up here in a minute is my virtual machine and command line for Linux Mint. And we're told that this could be done in a rather, yes, albeit complex command line. And once that tar archive is created, we should be able to extract or view what is in the archive with the command tar space -t. Remember T for like table of contents, followed by F, which directs tar that the next thing it's going to see is the name of the archive. So F space all underbar editors.tar. When we enter that command, we'll see the list or table of contents of the archive. So let's take a look at a tar review sort of worksheet or quick reference and remind ourselves of some of the things that the TAR utility can do. It is based on the traditional Unix utility to archive files to a actual physical tape archive. But it's useful today in our modern world to make a collection of files into a single package for easy distribution. So often when you visit a website, a vendor of specifically Unix tools, you may download the entire package for the software as a what we call tarball or tar archive. So tar has three modes: creation, listing, and extraction. So we can create the archive, we can see what's in the archive, and then we can explode or extract back into the individual files. So just as a review, to create, we use -C, and then typically followed by the F, and the F is always furthest to that right-hand side because the next thing tar expects to see is the name, the file, F. So here is an example that we can see on our screen of tar being used with the -CF flags, a name of a tar archive, access underbar logs.tar, and then followed at the very end by the list of each and every file that we want to put into that archive. So in this case, we use some wildcarding. So access underbar log asterisk or star, some people say, that's the wildcard. It says match anything. So we might have a bunch of files in a logging directory that are named access underbar log and then a date stamp 09/12, 2021, 12/01/2021. Just a log for every day over a long period of time, many files. We want to collect all those up and put them into a single tarball so that we can put them into our cloud storage or on some kind of external storage media. And we can see that when we use the long listing command, ls -L, and the name of the access underbar logs.tar file, we will get the long listing for that particular file. And the long listing has permission information and ownership information, size, and dates for that file. So that is the create. We also discussed in the class about compression in a tarball. We have not been asked to do compression on this challenge assignment, but we just want to recall the fact that the Z flag uses the gzip utility, and then there is the J flag that will compress with the bzip2 compression facility. We have the T flag to list the files in an archive, and extracting reminds us to use the X flag. And then right here, we have a nice list of the most oft used options for tar. The V for verbose, C to create, T for that table of contents, X for extraction, F specifies the file to process, and then the two compression flags, Z and J. So back to our story. We want to create a tar archive that captures all the editors on the local system. So the basic command that we would need, I would say tar, and then we would want to be creating, and then specify the file, right? All editors dot tar, and then the secret is, what do we want to put in here? Well, we would like to put there the list of all of the editors on the system. It'd be, a big long list. So because I'm not quite ready to imagine that list at this time, I'm going to back myself up a bit, maybe write down that command that I had on paper even, and sort of go back to the drawing board to say, well, how can I get this list of all the editor type programs on my system? Well, I may start by using a command that we learned already in man with the -K flag and say editor. Let's see what we get. Oh, we get a lot of information, more than a whole page. It's a little bit more than I need at this point in time, but it looks like it might be, getting me on the pathway to where I need to be. In fact, it looks like these are all, nice editor type things. A shell type JFS file system editor. Okay. A software sources list editor. Well, that's good. And these first entries indeed look like it might be what we need. So, let's take it a little further. Well, we got that list. We would like to cut, perhaps, that first field from the list. What kind of delimiter would we specify for a cut? Well, maybe a single space. And look at that first field. Let's see what we get now. Oh, well, it's a nice long list and they are names, but I really need the full path name because just these, they're called base names, I don't think is gonna be appropriate. So what am I gonna do? Well, I know there's that which command, right? And let's say let's just pick something off the list. Here's Pinta. Let's say which Pinta. Yeah, that's what I want. I want a full path like that, but for every one of these. Well, this is the part where it's gonna get a little tricky, and that's why that challenge problem said it's maybe beyond the scope of this particular course, but in my close to 10 years teaching this class, over that period of time, I have had students come to me and say, Miss McCosker, I really want to do more. I want to learn more. Give me some real life problems to tackle. And that's the story behind this particular challenge, is really something that was requested. So let us look in the man page for something called X-Args. And this is new, but it's a very interesting command. It builds and executes command lines from standard input. It reads items from standard input, meaning either typed in at the keyboard or coming through the pipeline, and executes the command. So X-Args the command one or more times with the list of arguments coming into it. So just to try to encapsulate that down into something digestible, something that's like, say, a smaller bite size piece, we're going to go back through our history. So I'm going to use the up arrow here on my keyboard and take myself back to the list of editor type programs and utilities, and then use that with X-Args and the which command, which I just demonstrated gave me the full path name like I think I need to solve this problem. So let's take a look at our results. Oh my, this really looks beautiful. It looks like it's getting really close to what I need. So let us go way back to the beginning in my journey here. And remember that I wanted to use tar and create an archive called all editors.tar. And then I said I wanted then this big long list of all the editors. Well, perhaps I can just do a little research with tar to see if I can find a way to add something on the end here that will indicate and let me make use of this big long list. So what's always the go-to research mechanism on Linux? So let's do a little research there on our tar command. And we could read the whole man page, but for the sake of time, I'm going to skip ahead and find the option that I really need, which is the -T, which is the files from option. Tells us that if we use the -T with tar, we can get names to extract or create from a file. So unless specified otherwise, as we read on, the file must contain a list of names separated by the ASCII line field. In other words, one name per line. Well, this is looking really, really close to what I need. In fact, it may be exactly what I need. So what I am going to do is take that man-k editor that I piped through cut and then through X-Args which, and I'm going to dump that into a file that I could give any name, but hey, I'll just give it the name temp. And end that with a semicolon telling Linux this is now the end of one command. And without hitting carriage return or the return key on my keyboard, enter key on my keyboard, I keep typing. It just happens to roll over on this screen. And use that tar command that I just discussed with the C for create, the F followed by the name of the tar archive, and then just use this -t flag that I just learned about, followed by that file I created seconds ago. So, hey, let's do it. We got a message back, and sometimes when we see a message, we get a little bit scared about it must be an error. This one's just informational, telling us tar removed, leading forward slashes from that member names. So, hey, let's take a look at what we have in our directory, starting with the letters ALL. Hey, we have a tar archive. It's got a red color-coded look to it, which tells me that Linux Mint recognizes it as a special kind of file. It's looking pretty large, owned by my user account, and it's here in this local directory, which the pwd is my user account's home directory. Now, the problem, if we go back to the challenge problem in the correct worksheet, we're told that we should be able to use the tar-tf alleditors.tar to see the table of contents or the list of files making up the archive. So let's do that. tar-tf alleditors.tar. And there we go. The archive is made up of all of these files. So we have successfully archived all of our files using the rather complex but doable command at the bottom of the screen. So for all of those that were curious, I urge you to go through this, try it yourself, try it with other different files, and again, have fun with Linux. Don't be afraid. Just solve little bits of the problem. You saw what I did. You just get a little bit further, and then before you know it, you're all the way there. Have a great day.